So this is the scenario after 9 rounds in the championship, as after I managed to beat my title rival Marcus Gronholm last time out in Finland, I've now elevated myself from a 3-point gap at the top to a 10-point gap at the top. And one other thing I should mention is we also now have 15 drivers in the points, which is pretty crazy to consider. But what we also have is all 7 teams on the board. Ford is still 1 point behind Peugeot in the manufacturer points, and hopefully we can manage to continue our point scoring momentum in Germany. Okay, let's go.
For 2002, the World Rally Championship welcomes Germany into its ranks for the very first time. Rally Deutschland is based around Trier in western Germany and runs mainly on asphalt. It includes stages in the wine region of the Moselle Valley, where drivers must face narrow roads and tight corners. This is a welcome addition to the World Rally Championship.
Something else I should mention about ADAC Rally Deutschland is that it is all tarmac, which basically means this is an all asphalt rally. Which means that hopefully I should have a good shot of getting some more points on the board. And I do also have a setup changed. Well, setup saved, just in case. And this is pretty much what I am going to be running, so hopefully this works. And we'll see how we do. As we begin with the Super Special St. Vandel Reverse.
Right 3 into left 3 and right 3 100 right 2 and right 6 50 left 6 30 left 4 50 hairpin left 70 left 5 over crest into right 4 over bridge.
I have no idea how I power slid
50
through that.
left 4 100 right 3 200 right 2 into left 2 and hairpin right, don't cut 70 over crest into left 3 100 right 2 dip into left 2 opens 150 right 3 into left 2 and right 2 don't cut 30 right 3 150 hairpin right don't cut.
We'll try and see what we can do
six,
from
don't
here.
cut into left 6 and
And
left
maybe if we're lucky we might actually get somewhere.
100 right 3 into long straight.
I at least want to try and get through the first 3 stages of the rally before I move on to the next one. And that's a wall. Well, there's nothing I can do about that wall as much as I tried to avoid it. I went too deep. I really am wondering if physically I need a break. But at this point I don't really know anymore. Because I am trying to find some sort of fix that will get me through this. And yet, because I have to do a series of these before I can actually save the game, Honestly, it's just hellacious for me to think about how to really pull this off. Honestly, it really is. When I feel like I'm just mentally fevered like this, and physically. It's not like I've just suddenly lost my confidence. It's just a case of me not feeling physically fit enough to really just continue to plow through this as much as I can, and yet also trying to see if I can really manage just trying to drive the car while not being 100% physical.
150 left, 3 into right, 5 over crest, 100 left, 6.
Because at this point, it is really leaving me to wonder if whether or not I actually have it,
70 onto long right, 2 over crest,
or if it's just a case of me
30,
continuing
inside,
to struggle
50
and choke
left,
away
over crest,
whatever concentration I have, because I feel like
200 right, 3 into left, 2.
because I feel like physically
Right, 2 over crest. 100 straight
I am almost
over jump,
mentally
maybe 100 left, 4 into
just trying
right, 3 over jump, 150 caution outside.
to basically pound the rock as much as I
100 very
can.
long, right, 4. 70 narrows.
And yet it feels like as much as I am trying to pound the rock,
150 caution left,
the rock just feels like it's not
into
breaking.
left, 6. 100 right, 6. 150 long hairpin
But
left. 70
I don't know,
right,
man.
4 over crest.
Like, I'm honestly trying to get the results out where I can get them.
150
But at the same
over jump
time,
and over jump, 150
because I'm not
long
exactly
right,
one of
2,
those pro sim
300 over
racers,
crest into left, 1.
I'm not exactly someone
100
who can
long
really
right,
do a
3
lot
tightens into
about
right,
his
5
physical
into
condition
left, 3.
to really
150
limit
right,
the
4
physical
over
toll
crest.
of what it's
100
taken on my
left,
body
6
so
into
far.
right, 6. 100 left, 3 into right, 2.
Like, I have been trying to squeeze this in as much as I can, but at the same time, the concentration, or almost lack thereof, probably does seem to suggest there is something else at work, but I haven't figured out what it is yet. It could just be nothing, and I could probably just be moping and groping a lot, which is something I do, because I'm not really that good at coping with pain. But at this point... Oh, yep, I forgot that wasn't the finish line.
100 right, 2 and over jump.
It really does just feel like it is physically messing with me.
150 over crest into left, 2.
And it almost feels like there's hardly any alternative fixes to really get rid of it.
100 caution right, 6. 150 left, 6. Don't cut.
Unless I decide to really
100 right, 3 tightens
just take a
into
few
right,
days off
5.
and see
100 caution over
if I
jump
can
into
recover from
right,
this.
1 and finish.
Okay. Don't know how I held on to it, but thankfully I held on to it for the finish. Anyway, Richard Burns wins Stage 2 over Gilles Panizzi, myself, Gronholm Solberg, and Thomas Ratstrom. Now let's try and see if we can actually get through the night stage. Or if we can't get through the night stage, then well, I'll just have to keep trying until I do. Which is about the best thing I can really do right now.
150 long left, 1 tightens into left, 3.
But at this point,
200 right, 5.
I really need to avoid those slabs.
150 narrows.
If there is any object I need to physically avoid as soon as I approach them, it's those slabs in the middle of the stage. I have to do everything in my power to somehow stay out of those, if I can. And that's providing I don't lose control of my car at the same time.
200 right, 1.
And already I hit one of them. But at least I can say the hit wasn't as severe as it could have been. I mean, I have definitely taken harder hits with those slabs, and they've definitely been worse.
150 caution right, 5. 70 opens into long right.
Well, not at the back, but not really my best examples of what I have set in the past. But again, the night stages always fuck with me. And it's not just because the visibility is reduced, but it's also a matter of basically trying to keep my car on the road as much as I can without just flying off into a tree. Which at this moment in time is basically what I'm trying my best not to do. Because if I can somehow keep my car on the road, then I think my result will be satisfying, to me at least. Night stages always have been my Achilles heel. Basically since the start of the game, they've more or less been my Achilles heel. But I think if I can manage to just get at least 1 or 2 stages where I manage to limit the damage done by the night stages, then I can basically just plow through the rest of this rally, hoping that I do not have to do any more, basically. Plus, I think if it was technically summertime skies, then wouldn't it technically be a sunset or something? I don't know how Europe's time zone works, but I think it's something along those lines. Although I really can't speak for everyone, because I know Britain's time zone is an hour behind Europe's time zone. I'm kind of just making sure my car stays on the road for this, and trying to make sure that I keep it out of the danger zone as much as I can. I have no idea how I got out of there.
150 over jump.
But you know what? If I can come out of this without finishing last, then I will accept. If I don't finish last, I will accept the result. Because I honestly had a feeling something like this was going to happen. I was honestly waiting for it. Because this championship is very much hell-bent on not giving me any breaks. It's basically just going with the whole no prisoners approach and shit.
Right to 100 over crest into long left 3 narrows. 200 right 5.
And I feel like that's the one thing that with this championship, I have very clearly learned about the most.
150 left 3 into 70 right 5 over crest.
Fuck me. I was really trying to avoid those slabs, but then suddenly they just fucking popped up again.
150 left 3. 70 over jump and over jump into.
I really do feel like they're just dicking about with me at the moment. And there's nothing that can really be done to solve it. For most of these stages, I seriously hate driving at night. Because there's just so many things that can physically go wrong at night. Oh, and Francois Duval is out, along with Alistair McRae in the Evo 7 who retired in the opening stage. Well, it drops me down to 7th. But at least I can say Gronholm is not leading the rally, which is one good thing for me. So P7, heading into day 2, I am pretty convinced in saying that I can get back into the points again. So let's see how we do for the rest of the rally. Which at this point is probably the best I can ask for. So we've got a rain stage and we've got 2 cloudy stages. But you know what? I didn't finish last in the previous stage, and that was the important thing. I just needed to make sure I was not finishing last, and that was why I accepted. I think I'll actually harden the brakes this time and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm only a few seconds behind 6th. I think I can make those up again. As we begin with Trier. Yeah, this time around, I am not changing anything. I'm just basically just going to run what I brung. At this point, that's probably my best option. Because when you're entering these sharp corners at speed, you basically need to have brakes. And that's precisely what I have now. After deciding to stick to my fucking soft brakes. Because it is a lot easier for me to just glide through the corner now compared to before. Yeah, you've also got to watch out for those road signs because they can be pretty deadly if you hit them.
100 right to 50 over crest, 70 left 6 over crest into right 5 open.
Shit. Okay.
100 right 1.
That could have been a lot worse.
70 straight over jump, 150 care jump, maybe into left 3 over crest,
Okay.
150 left 3 over
Alright,
crest,
well,
into
only down to
right
second,
4 opens.
in spite of that mistake. Okay, well anyway.
150 right 3
Let's
opens, into
try and
right
see
5, 150
if
left 2,
we can somehow beat this.
100 left 6 over crest, 70 right 4.
Because at this point, I feel like I am going to need
over
it.
crest into left
As I am now down in
100
P6.
right 70 left 6. 150 on right 3.
I may have to try this again, depending on how far off I am
left 3.
from everyone else.
150 cautioned into
That
right
is
3. 100 left
very
3
possible at this
into
point.
right 2 over crest 70
Okay.
left 2. 70
Well, I make
over
up for the
crest
mistakes
into
again,
right
so
6. 100 over crest into left 1.
I don't know.
100 caution over
Maybe we
crest
can make up
into
for it,
left
or
1.
maybe we
100 over
cannot.
crest into long right 4.
I don't think so.
100 left
The way I am
3
just
and right 3.
sliding
Finish.
around on the road right now. I don't know. Well, at least I get P2. And Philippe Bugalski in the Citroën finished P5. Here are the rest of the results. And, oh, Sebastian Loeb is out. Well, at least that now moves me back up into the points, as I jump from 7th to 5th. However, Marcus is still ahead of me, and as long as he doesn't win too many stages at this point, and Gilles Panizzi manages to stay ahead of him, then maybe I can manage to come away with potentially some more points, which is what I want. I did have a 10-point lead heading into this rally, so I probably can afford to lose a few points as long as it's not too many points. Because I feel like this is the part of the rally where it's basically damage limitation. That's pretty much what it has to be. And also because I actually seem to be driving better than I thought I was going to be driving at this point. I think if I can manage to maybe finish just off the podium, or at least maintain 5th, which is probably more likely to happen, then it proves of course that 2 points are better than no points. And at this point, I'm probably willing to take any point score I can get. Because at this point, I feel like I am going to need a lot of luck if I am really going to win this rally. Something that I don't think I can see happening. But there might be a minimal shot of me getting a podium, potentially. But again, I would need some luck in order for that to be the case. And I hit a tree. That is not how luck works. That is the total opposite of what I was wanting. I may have to try this again, because I am not driving very well at the moment. Guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, just because it's clear weather now, the road is still wet. And I think at this point, because the road is still wet, that is what troubles me.
100 left, 6, 1, 2, right, 6. 100, caution, fence, outside. 70,
But I'm not
left,
sure
5,
over whether or not I can
over crest,
actually
into left, 4.
get this done.
200, into right, 4. 150, over jump, into left, 1.
I mean, winning this rally was going to be a long shot either way, but I know I'm not extending my lead, because I think at this point a 10-point lead is probably the most the game will allow me to have. Unless something catastrophic happens to Marcus before the end of this rally. Something that I really don't see happening, in all honesty. But maybe I can manage to gain some time back again, if I am really lucky. Also, aren't those grape bushes or something? You basically had to grape bushes when you pretty much had to collect what you need for making wine, because it's technically grapes that make wine. I think that might be what those are. Those could very well be grape bushes that I passed through when I hit that barbed wire. Well, I'm not going to win the stage, but at least I've had a good time. Okay, I'll take that. P2. I actually seem to be okay now because I am actually doing whatever it is I am supposed to do now. So Gilles Panizzi wins stage 5 over myself and Harry. And here is the rest of the order, and Tommy Mäkinen is out. So once again we have had 4 DNFs, and we're not even at the end of day 2 yet. Well, I seem to be holding on to 5th now because I have a 13-second advantage over Petter Solberg, but yeah, I really don't think I am stopping the Peugeot sweep here. I think the Peugeots for this rally are just too damn good for me to stop. And here we go again for another night stage. Yeah, I really don't think I am stopping the Peugeot sweep anymore, because we have to do another night stage, and also because I have got both one headlight and one tail light knocked out. Because of what I did earlier on. I feel like I'm definitely braking more than I need to be doing. But then again, aside from maybe 1 or 2 objects at the side of the road I can see, aside from the road itself, there's not really much else I can see outside of that. And that's probably what concerns me at this moment in time. Because I always get the feeling the night stages are screwing with me for whatever reason. And yet there are very few occasions where I feel like a night stage actually gives me a break. And that's honestly providing I don't crash. I'm also pretty sure that's the moon over there, in that shot. In that shot over there, because that is in no way a tree. Well, at least I didn't go past the guardrail that time, because if I would have done, that would have been disaster. I'm definitely taking a cautious approach here, because I honestly have no idea what's in the road ahead of me. I really don't know what it is, but something actually seems to click when it comes to certain stages, even though I'm not really pushing as hard as I can, and there goes the stage 1. And now I can practically see nothing because my full beam lights are out. Which means I have got to be extra careful now to make it to the end of this stage. Damn it. These fucking night stages, man. It really does feel like they are just fucking screwing with you. Even when you do know you're fast, they always have to find ways to just fucking screw you over. Because your visibility is still very limited from what you can see ahead of you. But yet somehow I only dropped down to P4. Yeah, it would have been hard for me to find a way to displace one of the leading Peugeots, because they are just so fucking fast on these roads. I think the only shining light I'm really going to get out of this very dark cave is the fact that Gronholm is not leading. That's probably the only shining light I think I am really going to get out of this.
into right 5, 100, caution, over jump into right.
The fact that the
finish.
Peugeots are clearly leading the charge, and that Gronholm at the moment is not at the head of that charge. Okay, P4. That's probably the only shining light I really have out of this whole thing. Oh, he won the stage. But is he in the lead of the rally? I swear to God. If he is leading this rally, then I might just scream. Okay, he's not leading the rally. Thank God. However, it is very close at the top when you look at the margins. But because I recovered to 4th, I actually managed to finish 4th. And now I am honestly just hoping and praying to God that I can actually survive the 3rd day. Which at this point is what I want. Okay, let's go. As I have another sip from my bottle, at least for the rest of this. The other stages are going to be in the day, which means we are not going to get cooked again by the Dicky Night stages. Okay, I think it's time to put more downforce in the car. And I'm also going to go in a bit with the tow link. And hopefully everything else should be fine. I might also reduce the power steering a little bit, just to see what that does.
3, 2, 1. Go.
Can I actually get this to work out this time?
Into left 350, right 2 into long left 3 and over.
I would really like it if I could.
Right 3 and dip. 100.
I think since I've got more downforce in the car now,
150,
maybe it won't be
over
as easy to slide into these banks as much as I was before. And I think my case at the moment is being proven correct.
Right 2 over crest 200 over crest into left 3. 100.
But there's a big difference between having your rival finishing second and also having your rival finishing first.
100 right 2 over crest into left.
There's also a 4-point
150,
difference between first and
right
second,
6 into dip.
which basically
100 right
means
1 into left
I have to
5.
make sure that I continue
150
scoring
left
points
1
from
over
here on
crest.
out, if I am going to clinch this.
Into left over
I knew beating the Peugeots here was going to be a long shot,
into right 3.
but if I can finish 5th at the minimum, maybe 4th at best, then it at least gives me an established presence
150 over crest into left
of being in
5.
the best damage
70
limitation
right
spot I can reach.
100 over crest. 70
And I think the
left
improved
2
downforce
into
actually
right
is helping
3.
me get along
150
these
left
roads.
1 into right 1 over crest 50 caution
And my
outside
mistakes are
left
not
3 opens
as
into
frequent
left 2, 30 over
as they were.
crest.
Also,
150
that crash actually worked out
into
quite
right
well for me,
1
because
100 over crest
it put me
into
out
left
back in the middle
5,
of the road
50
again,
hairpin right
instead of putting me in the wall,
150
like I thought it
over
would.
crest into left 2 and finish.
And I am going to lose this by 5 seconds. Well, I knew it was going to cost me, but it could have costed me way more. Well, at least I managed to get a good result out of it. And I think Gilles is still leading the rally at the moment, but it's going to be razor tight at this point, from what I can see. And this time, Petter Solberg now moves up into the top 6 as Filip Bugalski and Thomas Radstrom have now dropped out of the points. Well, looks like 4th is probably the best I can hope for here. But if I can manage to win this next stage, then I think I should definitely be secured for 4th. With Peterberg. At least I can actually see where I am going now. So maybe we can get somewhere with this. Or maybe we'll just continue struggling. At this point, who knows? But one thing I know for sure is having more downforce in the car on these narrow roads, it definitely helps. And it also prevents your car from flipping in the areas where you don't want it to flip. And this time around I can actually see the slabs. So maybe I can get redemption for this stage, since we're not doing it at night this time. Okay. I kind of have to raise my voice when I'm in those precarious spots, because when they're precarious spots, they're also dangerous spots. Spots that could potentially lose me a ton of time. But anyway, I think at this time, I'm probably just fine with trying to see if I can get probably P4 at this point. Because as long as I don't lose too much time for this one, then I think I should be okay. But that's only providing I don't lose too much time, because I'm still in the battle for 4th here. Especially since the gap is now less than 7 seconds to Harry Rovanperä in the Peugeot. I'm definitely not getting on the podium anymore. I think that's pretty much a lost cause at this point. Especially since it looks like Gronholm might have this rally by the horns, the way things are looking now. But if I can finish 4th, then I'll only lose 7 points compared to losing 8 points. Which means the gap is going to narrow again, but it's not going to narrow too much for me to not fight back. Because I think New Zealand, which I'm pretty sure is our next round after this one, if I can really nail it with the suspension setup on those roads, then I should have a good shot of potentially getting by with minimal damage. Which at this point is what I need. And possibly beating Gronholm as well if I really get down to it. Also, am I actually gaining time for this? I know that sounds like a bit of a far-fetched theory, but could I actually be gaining time from this? Potentially. I can't confirm nor deny this, but I feel like I might actually be gaining time. I basically just need to stay on the road somehow and see how we go from here. Okay. So glad I actually stayed in the throttle. Yeah, I don't think I'm beating Gronholm anymore. Somehow I just don't think that's going to be possible.
crest. 150 left, 1 into
Okay.
right, 1.
I lived, bitch.
200 long left, 2 over crest, tightens into left, 4.
Yeah, I think Ron Holm is going to take over the lead of this rally now. The way things are going at the moment,
150 opens over crest,
depending on
into
how
left,
far ahead
5.
he is ahead of Panizzi at this point.
150 long right, 2.
I don't think
finish.
Panizzi is winning the rally anymore. What's it gonna be? Oh, 2/10. I almost beat him. I was so close to nipping him at the line. So close. Well, I kind of figured Gronholm was going to take over the lead of the rally eventually. That almost seemed inevitable. The way he was running for these last few stages. But you know what? I'm happy with 4th. I've got more than enough time now to secure 4th in the rally. So Gronholm now leads Germany, ahead of Gilles and Richard. With me 4th, Harry 5th, and Pater looks to be rounding out the top 6. Even though he is now tied with Thomas Radstrom, so we'll just have to wait and see, but yeah, the top 5 at this point, they look to be pretty secure. Yeah, somehow I really don't think Gronholm is going to lose this rally anymore, because he already has a second advantage over Gilles. And I am strongly convinced at this point in saying that he might have just won the rally, which means he is definitely going to mow down that 10-point gap and reduce it to 3. But anyway, let's see how we go. As I have got one of the Mitsubishis alongside me. It's probably Francois Delacour because, well, McRae retired in the opening stage, so that's probably who it is.
Go. 70, right 3 into left 2 and right 2, 100 hairpin left. 70, right 2 into
That's a
left
very
2
tight
into
corner.
long straight.
So glad I actually made it through there somehow.
150, right 5 and right 6, 70, left 6. 100
This
hairpin
feels
left,
completely
don't
different
cut.
when you're doing it in reverse,
150, right 1 and
as opposed
left
to
2.
doing... Sorry. It feels completely different when you're doing the normal course in comparison to the reverse course. This feels totally different. As I am now at the outside hairpin, and heading back on the road up to the bridge. Damn it. Well, good thing I already had 4th place secured, or else that would have been catastrophic. Although thankfully at least that wasn't the case. For me anyway.
100 left 3 into right 3 and left 4 150 right 3
Make it, make it, make it. Okay, made it.
and right 2.
I knew that was going to cost me the win. But you know what? It's fine. We still managed to secure 4th. Oh, and Gronholm has dropped down again, so I think that means Gilles has just beat him on the final stage. I mean, literally a rally that went all the way down to the wire, and yet it was Gilles who beat Marcus at the end. Yeah, literally by the skin of his teeth, he beat Marcus. 8/10. That is about as close as you can get in a rally, especially when it comes to narrowly beating your teammates. Well, I'm only going to lose 3 points as opposed to losing 7 points. So that's good for me, because it means that when we get to New Zealand, I might just be able to outscore Gronholm again. Anyway, there's your top 6. There's Thomas Radstrom, Francois Delacour, Philippe Bugalski, and Marco Martin round off the top 10. And here are the rest of the results. 4 retirements: Loeb, Mackinnon, McRae, and Duval. And now we can officially move on to Australasia, where we will get to go to New Zealand. So I couldn't stop the Peugeot podium, but once again I do manage to stop Peugeot from locking out the top 4, as Petter Solberg scored P6 for Subaru. And 5 teams have scored points in this rally. 16 for Peugeot, 4 for Ford, 3 for Subaru, 2 for Citroën, and 1 for Mitsubishi. And the other 2 teams have not scored any points for this round. But anyway, gap is now reduced to only 7 points, as opposed to it being reduced to 3 points, which would have made me a little less comfortable, but thanks to Gilles, I have a 7-point advantage at the top. And it looks as though the Peugeot drivers are very much pulling away from everyone else at this stage. And no new point scorers, but 5 teams did get points on the board. Peugeot is now on 97, Ford 84, and then you have to go way back to find Subaru at 47, and then even further back to find Mitsubishi, who are now on 20. And the bottom 3 teams, Citroën, Skoda and Hyundai, all of them are still in single digits. So now that this rally is done, we can move on to New Zealand. Next time.